Francesco, the World Health Organization, are we losing the battle even before we go to war in terms of overweight and obesity? What guidance and guidelines should we be looking out for? And are we reaching the countries in this aspect? Over to you.
Well, thanks, Bibi. Well, first of all, you heard today from the Global Nutrition Report that the majority of countries has a mix of forms of malnutrition. And in fact, more and more parts of the world, like Africa, that have been affected, that are still affected by undernutrition, are now getting, on top of that, an additional burden, that of obesity. What are we going to do with our health systems that should be coping with the results of undernutrition? Now we are putting another burden. They're going to collapse. So what guidance do we need? Well, first of all, we need to make the point that those forms of malnutrition are not disconnected. They're in fact connected. They have the same biology and the same causes. A stunted child is going to be an overweight adolescent and is going to be an adult with diabetes and hypertension. So we definitely need to continue addressing different forms of malnutrition, but we need to make sure that the context, the food environment in which those children are going to grow is adequate. We need to make sure that the food systems are actually providing healthy foods. So what is WHO saying about that? First of all, make sure that any response to malnutrition addresses the different forms of malnutrition. So we have to do what we call the double duty actions. Breastfeeding, adequate complementary feeding. That's a solution for both the undernutrition and the overweight. Complementary feeding, what we see out there is absolutely appalling. The type of food environment, the types of baby foods which you see in many countries. Look at Asia, look at the markets out here, a lot of sugar. So that is an important response. Start early, starting with antenatal care, providing adequate dietary counseling, making sure that the weight gain during pregnancy is adequate, make sure that women have adequate diets, make sure that they know about breastfeeding since very early during conception, and then act in the food system. And there are 4 things that we know we can do. 3 of them are regulatory. We can regulate the price of certain foods. 59 countries are now dealing with taxation of sugar-sweetened beverages. So there's an overwhelming number of countries which have realized that this is an effective measure that's going to curb the intake of sugar. Second, adequate labeling. It has to be understood by everybody. Interpretive labeling. You heard from Senator Girardi. More and more countries are using interpretive labeling, including warning, including other pictorial signs, and other schemes are also available, but they drive choices. And the recent analysis has been showing that actually people eat less of the products which are high in fat, sugar, and salt. Third, curb marketing food to children. Actually, curb stop marketing of infant formula. Curb marketing of baby foods high in fat, sugar, and salt, and curb marketing of food to children. And fourth, not regulatory, but investment, healthy food environment in public institutions. Public institutions have an enormous power to buy the right food. Public food procurements in cities, through social protection program, through schools, it's an important driver of the change in the food system. That's what WHO is recommending, and industry is following with adequate reformulation if the policy environment is appropriate.